Hi. Picking up right where we left off with Casca's brand calling the demons. Literally, it was like the last shot of the last thing that we read. And now, here they come. And then, the demon baby shows up. Dun dun dun. And that's pretty much the end of it. Yeah, nothing happens. Like, just over. And at this point, actually, a couple times up until this point. But at this point, I'm seriously wondering why Casca doesn't seem to suffer any of the consequences of the brand like Guts does. And narratively, yeah, we're not following her, we're following Guts. But I have wondered a couple different times throughout, and especially now it's becoming very in your face. And I'm like, if she's been out this long, wandering around for months now, why has there not been no obvious consequences from her carrying the same brand that Guts does? Because we know what this brand does, and we know what happens when you have it. Ironically, they just showed us, like right there. He showed you, but we don't understand just yet. But from my reading perspective, I'm literally at this point I'm literally thinking that there is a shortcoming in his storytelling. There is not. Then we get a quick cut to what's going on inside the tower, and we get the boyfriend, the prostitute's boyfriend, gossiping about Farnese and the sneaky little guy, who, by the way, we are still keeping an eye on, because whatever your name is. But then we get this really cool little reveal of the Birdman. I'm not going to lie, I kind of like this dude. He's pretty cool. Like, both his look, like masked and unmasked, and his little backstory of his condition and everything, everything that really just kind of goes into this one little page of character development for this character. But all in all, I really liked it, and I really like him. He's a pretty cool dude. I mean, I know he's like one of the Inquisitors, and he's a bad guy, and Guts is gonna have to kill him, but I kind of like him. And then Mozgus prostrates himself like 1,000 times or something, which basically just means he slams down onto his face repeatedly, which, I mean, I get it. It just was presented in a slightly silly fashion. That's all I'm going to say. But much more importantly than his prostration, he's going to give a speech, and we're going to get a little glimpse inside of his mind and his character. So he's going to go into this big speech about how there once was this real Mother Teresa type person that would go around and help those in need, the people who needed help. Until one day she goes to help a guy, and he says, "No, by helping me, you are..." Hold on. Reasons. I forget what he says. He says, "Please don't help me. The fact that I'm laying here by the side of the road by myself proves that I lived a proud life of independence," or something like that, which makes perfect sense for that one individual man on a personal level. But Mozgus then equates the moral of this story to being, therefore this means you should never help anyone ever, which makes no sense whatsoever. But then he's going to go on, and he's going to then further explain that kindness, generosity, helping people, doing good for people means literally nothing and matters not. The only thing that matters is Scripture. If it is not dictated in the Scripture and by the Scripture, you do not do it. You live and die by the Scripture. So now we're getting to see how this man functions and why he functions, or why he functions the way he functions, and how and what and not and such. And actually, this is another single page character development that explains his character so almost completely, as far as everything that we've seen up until now and how he's interacted and acted is very, very much so fleshed out and explained in a single page, and I fully understand him as a character now. Like how quickly Miura can do character work, and give you one little scene and you're like, I understand this guy 3 layers deep now, is actually quite amazing. It's extremely skillful, to say the least. Anyway, basically, we're told that he's a religious fanatic, and he's a religious fanatic of a specific type, and that type being scripture is all. It is to be taken word for word. It is to be taken very literally, and it is to be taken verbatim. You probably know some people like this. Maybe not this extreme, but I'm just saying. For example, spare the rod, spoil the child. And the people who literally believe that if you don't physically beat your children, then you are not doing what God told you to do, because God literally put in the book, spare the rod, spoil the child, or thou shalt not lay with a man like you would a woman, or do not wear clothes that are woven of 2 different cloths. I'm not making this up. Do not cut your hair. That was one. Or your beard. And then if you lay with another man's woman, you should be put to death unless that woman's a slave, in which case you should offer the owner a goat, I think. But I'm leaning into this because this is... these are real. But I'm trying to pick the most ridiculous ones because I'm pointing out the absurdity of taking this stuff too literally, which is what he's doing, which is why his character is so instantly understandable. We can also go, yeah, that's not right. And please, by God, don't think I'm being mean to Christianity or picking on Christianity. I just know that one quite well because that is the one that I was raised with. I can't necessarily pick things out of my brain from other religions because I don't have them. They weren't put there for the past 30 some odd years. You know what I mean? And I by no means am trying to imply that religion or being a religious person is a bad thing at all. There's no such thing as a bad religion, I don't think. I think there's just bad people, or people who do it incorrectly. This isn't what we're here to talk about. Moving on. And immediately we get to see that the sneaky guy, he's not fully on board with the speech. And actually he even points out that it's like the kind of twisted logic to lock it down. But he's not on board with this, and it's quite obvious. But anyway, now we get to the sad little sick girl. We get to see a little scene with her and this other little boy who really just kind of wants to love her, I think. Even though she's sick. At this point, you're like, oh, this is nice. This is sweet. And she's like, oh, if you love me, then meet me at the edge of the town at nightfall. And you're like, okay, all right, okay. So they meet outside of the town at night, and this gets a little bit crazy. But she immediately takes him down and introduces him to her crazy sex cult. That is literally right next to the town, by the way. They like go out and around a rock, and it's like, boom, there's all these like people just writhing and crawling over top of each other, and nobody notices that this is here. Like, the guards or the normal people, or literally nobody noticed that this weird sex cult is just, all right, whatever. Also, I wonder why the little girl is sick. Just saying. Look, I'm not saying anything bad about your weird sex cult. You want to have a sex cult and you want to have your orgies, that's fine. Just be safe about it and use protection. And by judging by the looks of some of these panels, it doesn't look like they're using protection. They're literally swimming in each other's fluids. Anyway. Although we do get a quick shot of like the evil demon chick from the God Hand, who apparently looks like she's going to be the driving force behind the weird sex orgies, or at least the cult in general. The ultimate big bad who's behind this particular event. And he doesn't look like he's super on board with any of this, the little boy that she brings down. He's kind of tentatively following, we'll say. But, you know, she brings him down and he's like, yeah, okay, maybe, I'm not sure. Hold on, let me think about this for a second, you know. But then she takes him down and introduces him to, like, the goat leader of the cult, and basically says, if you recite these magic words and kiss his member, then you will be one of us. And the little boy's like, F this, I'm out. To which the little girl's like screaming, like, he'll betray us if we don't kill him. And then she just runs and shoves him off a cliff. Okay. Like, that went real dark real fast. And at this point, with her being like, stop him or he'll betray us, I'm assuming that we actually are supposed to believe that nobody realizes that this is happening literally right next to the village. But anyway, she gets busted by the leader of the prostitute gang, who literally just comes up and backhands her and takes her back and scolds her like, you know, the child that she is. You would think that there would be larger consequences, or, you know, like, you can never come back. You are involved with this awfulness. But then again, they are like the band of prostitutes. So meanwhile, Casca wanders into the crazy cult and gets attacked by demons. We finally get to see what happens when she gets attacked by demons. And she is getting attacked by demons, but she's being protected by the demon baby. Also, the girls, prostitute girls, see this, and we get a real quick shot of the boyfriend that was thrown off the cliff, and he's not quite dead yet. He's actually still alive down there. But anyway, all that being done, now we finally get to meet Guts. Hey, Guts. And he's over here taking a nap. He's just asleeping. And then there's re-enter the little boy from that town with the Bakaraka and eyeliner guy, who I literally didn't even mention the boy in my last video because he didn't seem important enough of a character to even waste my breath mentioning in the last video. And now he's back and he's trying to steal Guts' sword. Like, fucking seriously. And I'm not even gonna lie, I don't like this character. He's not cute. He's not funny. He invites Puck's character to try to be funny. He attempts to steal swords that are like 7 times bigger than he is, and it's obvious that he couldn't pick it up if his life depended on it, but he's gonna try anyway because I foresee this character kind of clinging on to the story for the foreseeable future, and him constantly injecting himself for however long I'm going to have to put up with this character. I'm not looking forward to it. Like, not even a little. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Anyway, the wagon wheels that they've been shoving corpses into, and those come to life because the Brandons start rolling down the road after them, like, which is genius and hilarious all at the same time. And we get a really great action scene, other than the fact that kid's there kind of messing the whole awesome scene up because just by his presence alone. But other than that, the scene is quite great. And who should show up but the Skull Dude? And I'm not even gonna lie, I mean, yes, he continues to just kind of pop up right when it's convenient for him to pop up, and this is just what he does, and I'm coming to accept that there's really no good reason for him to show up when he shows up. He's just going to show up, he's going to drop some exposition, he'll probably spout some prophecy or something, but I'm not going to lie, when he does show up, I tend to really enjoy his dialogue in particular, because it is like this weird combination. He's either just booming prophecy at the top of his lungs or super polite, like strangely polite. I mean, he pops up and he's like, "You seem in good health, struggler," and then he's just like, "Oh, we are they're going to replicate the eclipse. Have a nice day, good struggler." But there is literally no in between for him. But anyway, he explains that there's this festival. The festival is coming. And at the festival, the God Hand are going to convene, and they are going to try to replicate the events of the eclipse so that the hawk will come. Or however that was worded. Naturally, Guts doesn't take this very well. He gets very upset because, you know, the hawk is Griffith. To which Skull Dude says, "There's nothing you can do about it. You know, prophecy, we can't change it, causality or whatever. You know, everything is preordained, there's nothing you can do about it." To which Guts argues with him, of course, because Guts. But honestly, Guts, in this particular case, I feel like Guts actually kind of has a point when he's like, yeah, but it ain't been going the way you've been saying it was going to go anyway, dude. Which kind of got a point, just saying. But then we get to see Farnese and a little deeper glimpse into her mind. And let me tell you, remember that little speech that I gave about her and the insight that we got into her character, and that she whipped herself and beat herself, and I had this whole little speech about S&M and it's okay so long as you express it in a healthy way, or some ridiculous speech that I gave because I thought I had a grasp on this chick's character. Yeah, I was way off. Like, way the f*** off. This chick is way more f***ed up than I knew at the time. Like, there are bodies burning outside, and she can smell the burning bodies, and it reminds her of when she was a child, and she would burn bodies by throwing torches at the base of spikes and watch the bodies burn. And this memory turns her on, so she goes and herself. Like, okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me for ever attempting to justify this chick. She's too far gone. I can't help her. This continues to rapid. I have realized that I constantly am like trying to read into things or understand them as I read them, and then they go to places that I wasn't prepared for, I guess. I don't know. Actually, now that I say that, I just made some speech about Mozgus, and understanding his character because of a speech that he gave about religion, and I just gave some, well, this makes his character understandable because of his religious point of view. Watch, next time something's going to happen, and I'm just going to be like, well, he's lost, never mind. Everything I just said, never mind. What was I even talking about? Oh, yeah. We also get to see that Casca, oh my god, that Farnese burned the sneaky guy's mom alive at the stake while he stood in the crowd and watched, and now he's utterly devoted to Farnese. That's a, got my eye on you. Yeah. So then we get a flashback to the prostitutes and inside of their tent. And we get all these shots of Casca. And I'm not going to lie, at this point, I have officially decided, I've been kind of holding off judgment on this whole Casca thing since the eclipse. And I've been just kind of rolling with it. And I have made comments here and there, little comments like, seems like she's lost more than her memories. She's kind of a drooling idiot. She's an empty shell. She's this, she's that. I have beat around the bush that they have kind of at what they've done with her character. As of right now, I have officially decided that I don't like the direction that they went with Casca post-eclipse. I mean, I've left it alone for the most part, but at this point, they have moved from just her being dumb to her being like a drooling idiot, and now they've moved on to she's now the comedic relief. We've now made her the butt of the joke, and I don't appreciate it. It's like we took one of the most important and influential and arguably powerful characters in the entire Band of the Hawk and the entire Golden Age arc, and then she's going to suffer tremendous trauma and abuse and just being utterly broken as a person. And in the aftermath of that trauma and that abuse, we're left with the character. She's going to survive. And how are we going to handle this character and the development, or how are we going to develop from this trauma and the abuse that she suffered? Well, the way we handle that is we make her the butt of the joke. She is now the character that just kind of dilly-dallies in the background, and we're there to just laugh at. And you're supposed to be like, oh, ha, 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 isn't this funny? No, I don't think it's funny. And I'm not laughing. This is probably my first real, genuine criticism of Berserk storytelling as a whole. Because for the most part, by and large, this is amazing. As a whole, it is so mind-numbingly genius what he was able to do and how he was able to do it. and the twists and the turns and the things I just don't see coming, and the quality of the storytelling has been so next level, and I have been beside myself with praise as I've gone through this, because it is just that good. It's so good. But this decision, I don't think it was handled well. Miura dropped the ball on this particular storytelling decision that he made. Anyway, but also this scene is then mixed with some actual actual good storytelling. I didn't mean it that way. But this scene's also mixed with some storytelling decisions for the other girl, the sick girl, that I actually like. Because last we saw her throwing her boyfriend off the cliff, she seemed kind of comic book evil. And we get this scene here, which then portrays her as completely overcome with fear and genuine grief. She's grieving over her boyfriend that she's the one who killed, but she's grieving the loss of him, and now she's afraid, and her fear is mixed with her grief, which is also mixed with her sadness. She's being painted in an extremely sympathetic light, which I actually like. I mean, you still kind of don't like her, and you still kind of want to punch her in the face a little bit because she's an idiot. But like I said, she's being painted in a sympathetic light, and it's realistic and believable that she would be thinking and behaving this way, and you kind of feel a little bit bad for her. I mean, you can see the terrible life that she's had, and she's really just weak. She's too weak to survive in the world that she has been thrust into, and she's too weak to make the right decision. So she consistently makes the wrong decision. But this culminates with Guts bursting into town and demanding to know where Casca is from like the chief of the guards or something like this. And this goes just about as well as you would expect. And ends with, none of the guard left, or at least Guts slaughtering them because they're not going to tell him. And he ends up mowing through all of them. And the head prostitute runs out and she sees Guts and she's like, hey, I know that chick. She's back in my tent. And he's like, oh, sweet. To which they go back to the tent, and it's empty because, to nobody's surprise, the sick girl has taken her away. Because, we just had that whole little conversation about her making the wrong decision consistently. But we cut to those two outside, and they're running away, and I think the little sick girl's trying to get rid of her, but they're immediately kidnapped by the cult. But luckily for them, they're being followed by the little annoying boy. And luckily for him, he has the high ground.
I have the high ground!
And you remember the boyfriend that was thrown off the cliff that died but didn't die? Well, he goes and runs and tells Farnese about the sex cult. So now Farnese is on her way to the sex cult. This really is getting out of control at this point. To which Farnese responds immediately. And now things are heating up because Casca's taken by the goat leader of the cult, who, by the way, at this point has transformed into full goat. He's no longer like half man, half goat with a goat head thing. He's just like full on demon mode. But Farnese's troops arrive, and the cult members and Farnese's troops go into full battle mode as everyone kind of clashes and collides, and Casca's being taken by the goat leader. Guts shows up, and it is glorious. I'm not even gonna lie. This is pretty exciting stuff. But Guts arrives, and we get our first interaction of Guts and Casca in 2 years, and his first time seeing her, whatever, I don't know, but it's wonderful. I love it. This is super exciting, but we do not have time for this right now, but because we got a goat demon to fight. And as far as Guts Berserk enemies goes, so far, this is easily one of my favorite. From the artwork, to the way that it's drawn, to the way that it's handled, to just the demon design in general of this particular goat. It just looks so good. It's satisfying to read. It's satisfying to look at. It's like a combination of amazing and terrifying. I really like this particular fight. One of my favorites, easy. Also, about halfway through reading this, I realized I think I fought this guy in Elden Ring. It was like one of the first guys. You kind of like just wander out into the middle of a field, and he's just kind of out there. I forget what you have to do to find him. He's like in a ring of stones. Or anyway, I'm pretty sure I fought this guy in Elden Ring, and he's a fucking But anyway, with him gone and dead, Guts turns around and the girls are missing because the little boy took him and he's trying to get him to safety. The little annoying kid, so we'll forgive him for this one. I still don't like the fact that he exists at all, but we'll forgive him. And Guts goes running off to catch him, and suddenly the sneaky guy's right in his way. And I'm like, yeah, I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for this for a long time. There is not much road, and what road there is blocked by the sneaky guy. So I'm literally on the edge of my seat at this point because I've been waiting. So Guts is now pinned down with every possible disadvantage imaginable, and it has been very purposefully designed and set up this way by the sneaky guy, which is super clever, and I really like it, and it's really awesome because it gives you a quick glimpse inside of the sneaky guy's head and just how smart and clever and good he is at doing what he did to set this up, while at the same time being the most ridiculous exposition info dump that I've seen in a long time, because he's just like, oh, your sword hand's against the wall, and I'm not saying I could have come up with a better way to do it. I'm just saying there probably was a better way to do it, but we went with exposition info dump. But it's still so cool that we're just it's fine. Don't worry about it. Nobody worry about this one. This one's okay because it's super cool. But then even after the info dump, you realize that there's more to this guy than even that, because he acts like, oh, I had to pin you up against a wall because that's the only way I could do it. But it dawns on even Guts that he's like, no, this is more than just tactics, because this guy's swordplay is above and beyond what even this little trick would have you believe. He's just good in general, and it impresses Guts. And if you're good enough, both tactically and swordplay wise, to impress Guts, you've impressed me. Meanwhile, the kid's over there lowering the girls off a cliff, and he's going to drop Casca. And she's just going to be like, basically do like a couple kick jumps off the wall into a superhero landing, because her reflexes kick in, and she's just awesome, which, not going to lie, I thought that was great. So now Casca and the sick girl are down on the bottom, and the boyfriend shows up, the one that she threw off a cliff. And she's like, oh, yay, overjoyed to see him. And he's like, freaks out to see her. And she's like surprised that he's not happy to see her for some strange reason, because, she's an idiot. But he runs around the cliff and he grabs the troops. And now they run in and they grab the girls. And now Casca and this little sick girl are captives, and they are hauled off to the Tower of Conviction. Meanwhile, back on the cliff, Guts is still fighting the sneaky little guy, and the sneaky little guy goes to stab Guts, and Guts just snatches the sword next to his face with his bare hand. And I'm just like, Guts, dude, you gotta stop. You seriously only have one hand left. You just gotta stop grabbing swords like that. But then he just snaps the sword in half and shoots him, and I'm like, oh, okay, well I guess that's fair. To which the other guy then launches one of Guts' little mini explosives that he has somehow, in the midst of all of this battle, pickpocketed Guts, flips around to the other side of him and runs away. And I'm just like, you know what? I can't decide if I like this guy or not, but I don't trust him. And we are I can't tell you how much we're watching this guy. We do get a quick shot of the guy and just how terrified he is. He's literally even alive at this point, which is I would say that's appropriate. But Guts catches up with the little annoying boy, and finds out that Casca has been kidnapped and taken to the Tower of Conviction. And I'm just going to say right now that this little boy is lucky that he's a little boy, and that Guts has the history that he has with his own childhood, and the fact that he then, and the accidental killing of that other boy, the one guy's son in the tower, when he goes in the assassin chapter, when he goes to kill the guy in the tower and he accidentally kills the little boy instead. He's got so much guilt and trauma wrapped up in his childhood and that boy's childhood that I think it just saved this little boy's life. Because if this wasn't a kid and Guts didn't have all that baggage, I think he would have killed him. Not even kidding. So the kid's probably lucky he's alive right now. Anyway, and now Guts is off to save Casca. He's He's marching towards the Tower of Conviction, and you finish off the chapter, and like the opening panel of the next chapter is him walking towards the Tower of Conviction with the little boy and the prostitute leader in tow. Like they're all gonna go off together. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know where the hell that prostitute chick came from. Like, she was nowhere in the story leading up to that. Like, no, as far as I can tell, nowhere was it implied that she was even in the vicinity. Like, you're on one page of like him like, where's Casca? And he's like at the tower. And the next page is like Guts going towards the tower with the prostitute chick. You're like, where the f*** did you come from? But anyway, this is where I'm going to stop this. It's about as much as I can handle for one reading. No, seriously, I'm trying to find good stopping points, and there's not. I mean, this isn't slowing down. I can't. This is getting harder and harder to find good stopping points here, but I just got a super satisfying fight with the sneaky guy, and it looks like we're going to enter the Tower of Conviction, and I have a feeling that's going to go just ballistic. So we're going to cut right here, and I'll be back. And honestly, as far as ratings concerned, I'll probably keep this right in line with the last one that I read. It seems to be holding pretty well consistent. I'm going to keep it right at an 8.5. I'm really just kind of willy-nilly rating this stuff because I really am going to have to come back and do like a grander re-rating or something in the future after I have more context to this. But as I'm just kind of rolling with it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to call this one an 8.5, just like I did the last one, but 8.5. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time.